Ever since it was first announced, there has been a lot of hype riding on Christopher Nolan's adaptation of The Odyssey. And after recent early reviews just came out, that hype seemed to have been delivered on, with recent reviews calling it his best, most epic film, a spectacular, ambitious, extraordinary masterpiece of a film. But at the same time, there's also been a ton of people who have absolutely hated this movie, boycotted it for diverse casting and not being accurate to history. And like, yeah, it's inaccurate, but also I don't care. I don't want to waste my time complaining about that kind of stuff because I have more worthwhile things to do. So yeah, I've had hope in this film ever since it was first announced. Like Christopher Nolan could do anything. He has proven to us time and time again that he can do no wrong. Like even his weakest films, probably Interstellar and Tenet, are still fine enough movies. And his best are amongst the best of the 21st century, let me tell you. And now that the review embargo has lifted, I bet you all are itching. Does it live up to the hype? Is it as good as everyone is saying it is? Call me a preacher because, yes, the Odyssey didn't just live up to all the hype that everyone has put behind it, it somehow surpassed it. And this might be a pretty big stretch, but you know what? I'm going to say it. This is Nolan's best film to date, which is saying a lot because he's done some pretty big films. Like, for example, my favorite Nolan films are The Dark Knight and The Prestige. I think they are amongst the finest films of the last century. And this is honestly a top five, possibly even top three best films I've seen in the last 10 years. Possibly only second to Martin Scorsese's Silence, but that's a topic for a different video. This is epic filmmaking at its absolute finest. Dare I say, the most epic, most grand feeling fantasy film, or mythological, whatever you want to call it, film of that brand since Lord of the Rings. It truly feels like a cinematic event of the century. It feels like Nolan's entire career has been building to this absolute masterpiece. I had some slight skepticisms before, like even in spite of my hype for it. Like I thought maybe the dialogue would be a bit awkward and stilted because it's modern and it would feel a bit juxtaposed on the ancient setting that it's taking place in. And yeah, maybe it does deliver on those skepticisms a bit, but at the same time, so many of my other worries for this film were just completely torn to shreds because this is everything a film should be. A film approaching this kind of magnitude should be. I had slight worries that this would be maybe a bit clunky due to the somewhat episodic nature of the book, which speaking of the book is one of my absolute favorites. And I've been comparing it in my mind, and honestly, I might actually like the story of the movie even more. Like, yeah, this is as classic and as authentic as it gets because it's based on stuff of the time, which Homer was alive back then, so of course he was able to capture it most accurately and authentically, but Nolan still does an impeccable job at adapting the source material. There are some creative liberties he takes in depicting some of the things, but overall, it's actually really faithful to the original book, aside from maybe some historical inaccuracies. But you know what? I don't care because I'm not a really nitpicky person when it comes to historical inaccuracies. Sorry. So, yeah, I thought its pacing would be a bit clunky, which is fine because like no movie's paced perfectly. But holy crap, I am glad to say that the pacing in this movie is impeccable. It flows perfectly. Like every event feels like it's all interconnected. It leads into one so smoothly. And like the way it's told, it's Nolan doing what he always does with time, and it's done impeccably here. Like it's not the best portrayal of his talent with like playing with time I've seen, but honestly it didn't need to be because with this kind of story, it's more about the epic scale. And then another thing I was a bit skeptical about is the performances because in the trailers they looked a bit awkward. Like they looked good, but Matt Damon and Tom Holland in particular looked like they could maybe have a bit stale performances. Boy, was I proven wrong because the performances in this movie are once again impeccable. Matt Damon is sensational as Odysseus, depicting this legend, this desperate man trying to get home. Um, and Anne Hathaway, holy crap. Like, she gets some amazing scenes, and Tom Holland as well. He's probably one of my lesser favorite performances in the movie, but even he is really, really good. And then Robert Pattinson, dear God, he was slimy and uncomfortable as a tenant. I forgot his name. Whatever. It's hard to pronounce Greek names, anyways. But yeah, he's a great villain. And what else? So many smaller performances here and there are absolutely steal the show. And then what else is there that's obviously really good? The cinematography is some of the best, if not the best, in Nolan's entire damn career. And the soundtrack and sound design, like people have probably talked about this already, but the soundtrack and sound design flow together so seamlessly, and it is so impeccably. I've used the word impeccable like 3 or 4 times already, but that's probably the best word I can use to describe the film. It's impeccable. But the soundtrack is already on track to win that Oscar. So is the sound design, so is the performances, so is the cinematography, so is the story. The story is so compelling. Like, he manages to take this classic mythological tale and make it feel fresh and authentic. And it's so compelling. The character work here is some of the best he's ever done. It's deeply emotional and often gut wrenching at times. Speaking of gut wrenching, he takes a certain sequence from the book and turns it into straight up horror. I won't say which one, but dear God, I was on the edge of my seat during that scene, and so was I with so many different scenes in this entire damn movie. Like, holy crap! I feel like every single scene just expands on every previous one, makes previous ones that you thought would be the peak of the film seem small in comparison. One I'd like to highlight is when they go through that strait with the whirlpool and the Hydra. Dear God, I thought that was intense in the book. Wait till you see it in the movie, and then I've been doing nothing but praise it. Is there anything wrong with the film? Um, no movie is perfect, and even Nolan's best films, I do have slight issues with. For example, The Dark Knight. Christian Bale's Batman voice is not that good, and it makes it a bit hard to take his character seriously. And then with the Prestige, I felt like Scarlett Johansson's character was a bit underwritten and rushed in some aspects. But with this one, yeah, no, the movie's not perfect by any means. Um, One skepticism, like I mentioned before, did get delivered on a little bit, and that's the dialogue. There's some modern day English in this movie that does feel a bit awkward and juxtaposed and out of place in some of the scenes. Like, for example, the infamous daddy line from Tom Holland and Robert Pattinson. That one was a bit weird and cringy. And then Matt Damon saying, let's go. And then there's some really basic lines and certain line deliveries that don't give the lines the gravitas or impact that they deserve for certain scenes. But really, I was actually surprised because there's some really good writing in this movie, a lot of dialogue, and honestly, this movie isn't carried by the dialogue; it's carried by the epic scale, the action, the performances, the characters, the journey. Everything in that aspect, in that respect, is absolutely outstanding. And then one other nitpick I had with the film actually doesn't have to do with the film itself; it's the credits. They have a Travis Scott song in the movie, and like the song itself is fine, but it feels so out of place in the credits. Like, thank God they didn't play it in the movie, because if they did, I'd actually have a problem with that. It feels so out of place. Not as bad as like The Middle and Supergirl. I shouldn't even be bringing up Supergirl in the same conversation as The Odyssey, because that is not a masterpiece. This is. Yeah, this is everything that I hoped it would be. And it has everything that makes Nolan great and avoids some of the pitfalls of his films. The characters, all of them feel fully realized. All of them have great arcs. The Obviously the action, the visuals, the scale, the sequences, the direction, the cinematography, the story structure, the pacing, everything is so just carefully and calculatedly isn't even a word. It's so calculated and carefully done and put together. It truly feels like everything that Nolan has done in his entire career as a director has led up to this moment. This is the peak of his career. This is Nolan's magnum opus. It has the amazing performances you'd expect from his films, the clever ways he plays with time, the astonishing visuals, the everything. At the same time, though, it feels uniquely timeless in a way. Like, it also feels really different from his films in a way because this is his first, like, really fantasy, mythological, fantastical film. And you still get parts where he actually does kind of treat certain fantastical aspects of the film in more grounded and realistic ways, or at least depicts them in that way. And it works really well. Like, I like how he depicted the gods as like some of the gods do get physical embodiments in the film, but other ones like Zeus and Poseidon don't get physical appearances and are instead depicted as natural phenomenons, which really sells the fact of how they are just so out of the league of these characters that they are just natural forces of nature in a way. They're so above that they don't even want to veer their faces. They just control, they command the world. Like, I love that. I love that they didn't just show us the gods. It really makes us feel their presence even more. And then, but even with the more grounded approach to certain scenes, there's some things in this film where he goes full mythological, full fantastical with like, for example, like the Cyclops, obviously, he's never had a creature like this in any of his films. Like, his films have dabbled with somewhat magical things, like The Prestige. Obviously, that film's centered around scientific magic for, in a way. And then Interstellar, that's more so science, but it felt magical in a way. But this, like the Cyclops, holy crap, he did not shy away from the mythological scale and just legend of that guy. He fully sells the Cyclops, while at the same time making it feel believable for this world, for the world that he's depicting here. And then, like I said, the Hydra and the Whirlpool, he did not try to make that any more realistic. He made it fantastical. He made it truly fit the epic and large scale nature of the book. And the way that he depicts these, the practical effects that he uses with some of these creatures instead of CGI, makes it come to life all the more. And like, it feels realistic even in its mythological sequences. And this journey, you truly feel like you're along in this journey with Odysseus. You truly feel like you have went on an entire lifetime of an adventure within this theater. And once you've left, you will feel changed. This, I have not felt this way watching a movie since I've watched like Dune 2 or Oppenheimer. And even Oppenheimer, like, Oppenheimer is a masterpiece. Nolan's top 3 Nolan for sure, but even Oppenheimer, I don't think it hit me as hard as some sequences in this movie. Like, there's some, I'm gonna be real with you, there's some scenes in this movie where it is just so just epic and heart anxiety inducing that I nearly nut on my theater seat. I I'm not joking. Like, I got bricked up watching this. That's how good it is. That may be weird, but if you actually go see it when it comes out on Friday, because obviously there's been very closed showings of it early. Example with Monday when I saw it, but really it is just that good that it gave me a physical. I had physical reactions watching certain scenes in this movie. I leaned forward. I tensed up. I got it's just everything I could have asked for and then more. And I don't know what else to say. I'm being intentionally vague because I dare not spoil anything in this movie. Not a single sequence, not a single character development, not a single arc, because all of it is just so well thought out. It truly feels like everyone, not just Nolan, but everyone went all in on this utmost masterpiece that I am itching to go see again. But also, I really wish I could watch this for the first time again in theaters, because I truly will cherish the memory of watching this for the first time for the rest of my life because I will be comparing every single epic film that I watch in theaters to this one. This will be this new standard to which I measure all epic films, even Dune 3 because this honestly might be able to stand toe to toe with Dune 3 because there's no chance that Dune 3 is going to be bad or disappointing. That's going to be a 10 out of 10 masterpiece for sure. But honestly, I feel like this has a good chance at being just as good, if not better, than Dune 3. But we'll just have to see because that's still months away. But yeah, Christopher Nolan absolutely delivered. Like, there's so many big directors that are coming back with new films this year, like Robert Eggers with Werewolf, Spielberg already with Disclosure Day, and then Denny Villeneuve with Dune Part 3, and then Nolan already with the Odyssey. Um, and Werewolf also looks fantastic. That's definitely going to be like a top 10, top 5 film of the year. The Odyssey is going to be top 3, and I don't think anything is going to take it down from there. And then Disclosure Day, I mean, you all know what I think about Disclosure Day. That was absolutely awful, especially coming from Spielberg. But with Nolan, I had no doubt in my mind that this would be a mess, that this would suck. And thankfully, that hope paid off because Nolan has delivered onto us, once again, I've said this multiple times, his magnum opus, his best film, and one of the best movies of the 21st century with the Odyssey. Because, like, there's other directors that I could have seen made it, but after seeing it myself, I don't think any other director alive today, aside from maybe Denny Villeneuve or well, not Peter Jackson, he's kind of fumbled a bit in recent years, but I don't think anyone could have done the Odyssey better than Christopher Nolan. Like, he can do anything. He wants to do horror, and after seeing that damn horror sequence in the Odyssey, a feature-length version on the same level as that scene, that would be one of the best horror films, not only of the century, of all time. And once again, this is possibly, you know what? Yes, this is potentially one of the best movies I have ever seen. And I've seen a lot. And again, so many movies have come out this century that have absolutely staggered me, not to the degree of classic cinema, but this truly feels like it's approaching the scale of those old classic epics. That's what it feels most comparable to. Most comparable to films like Ben-Hur or Lawrence of Arabia. Lawrence of Arabia especially. Like, Lawrence of Arabia is a film that I couldn't believe my eyes when I first saw it. Something of that scale that they managed to achieve with inferior tech to us, and yet we have not managed to top ever since. Well, Nolan has managed to recapture that feeling. Practical sets, practical effects, on location, minimal CGI. He has done it. He has recaptured the heart and soul of classic epics and of the original poem and of films like Lord of the Rings and of course of Dune. Dune has competition because honestly, I think this might be better than the first two Dune films. I don't say that lightly. Dune 2 is one of my top 10 favorite films of all time, but holy crap. This I don't personally love it as much as the Dune films because I have very nostalgic memories with the books, but with this, like, this is not only Nolan's best film, this is the best film of the 2020s thus far. I keep on putting it on the pedestal. I keep on saying this is the best film of Nolan's career. This is the best film of the last 10 years. This is the best film of the 2020s. This is the best epic since Lord of the Rings. But I mean it. It is that good. I truly cannot do it justice with words. Everything comes together near flawlessly. The pacing, performances, story, visuals, everything. And I couldn't be more happy. I couldn't be more relieved that a film that I have been excited for so long actually turned out to be not only just as good as I was expecting, but even better. And the haters can say whatever they want, but this is going to do well, not just with critics in the box office, because there are people out there that want to truly feel something watching films. a feeling that they've gone with films like Dune and Oppenheimer, but haven't been able to get for a long while, and I can finally recapture with this film. Like, I truly felt alive along with the journey in this film, like I have with films like Lawrence of Arabia, Dune, Lord of the Rings. Few films can do that, and Nolan does it to a T. I have been rambling on for so long. Like, I haven't been too detailed because I dare not spoil anything. And honestly, even if I did get into spoilers, did get into detailed analysis and breakdown of certain scenes, performances, and story arcs, even if I did do that, I could not do this film justice. The only way you guys can do this film justice is by watching it. Because that experience of watching this film for the first time is one that will stick with you for decades onward. This is no competition. One of the top five best experiences I have ever had in a theater. One of the best experiences I've ever had watching a movie, period. And I have Nolan to thank for that. And there is no higher honor I could bestow upon this film other than Nolan's magnum opus, because Nolan has such high standards, such a high bar he has set with previous films in his career, with The Prestige, with The Dark Knight, and maybe a bit with Interstellar, but also I kind of fell out of love with that film. I'm sorry, I might make a video on that, but that's not the topic of today. But really, he's set such a high bar with some of his best films that are often considered amongst the best of all time. And this film has set a new high bar. This is the film that Nolan's going to try and top for the next few decades. And honestly, I don't think he'll ever do it. He already kind of set that bar high with The Dark Knight and hasn't been able to top it ever since, but he just topped it. And now he's going to be trying to top. So many other filmmakers are going to be trying to top this film for years to come. But honestly, this is a once in a blue moon, once every few 5, 10 years kind of film. Films like this don't just happen. They are built up to. They're meticulously planned out and detailed and articulated with such care to ensure that they are the best they can possibly be. This is what cinema is made for. This film is what cinema is truly about. And I couldn't think of anything else to say other than go watch it. It is worth it. It is impeccable. It is one of the best films ever made. I'll see you in the next one.